All right, we'd like to welcome everybody out to Surprise We Both Love Movies. Today we're going to be reviewing a brand new film called The Dig, streaming exclusively on Netflix. This movie stars Ralph Fiennes and Carey Mulligan and was directed by Simon Stone. This film is a period piece that takes place in the 30s in Europe, just prior to World War II. And it's a very intimate film taking place in a very small town where there's this woman who she has a home. She looks like she's well off. Yeah. And she has some property. And on her property, there are some big hills out in the field. And she wants to know what's in these hills. So she hires Ralph Fiennes to come out. He's kind of an archaeologist to unearth what's in these hills, which leads us on a very interesting film about relationships. We've got backstabbing. We've got all kinds of different things that happen in this film. And in the end, I'm not going to talk about what happens at the very end, but it's basically a journey type film as these individuals have to discover who they are and what their purpose is, and basically not giving up, on what they need to accomplish. What did you think of this film?
All right, so I heard a little bit about it, and I was like, I kind of watched the preview. I think we were trying to figure out what we're going to do for the next week. Correct. So we decided we're going to watch The Dig, and I'm like, all right, this is a period piece, and there's going to be, it's European, happened in England, and I started watching it, and I couldn't quite make out what they were saying, and I watched and I'm all right, I'm in tune a little bit. I watch some British comedies and stuff, so I can kind of pick up on the little nuances of the English language and the different dialects, but after about 15 minutes, subtitles went on because I couldn't understand.
You got to get a sound bar. You got to get a sound bar.
I changed my settings and everything. I was like, nope, subtitles. So once I got past the subtitles, you really are brought into this really interesting kind of situation where the family, or this woman, she has a young son, and she meets this guy named Basil Brown, to your point, and he's like hired to dig this up. And it's really an interesting and intimate story about how you have an opportunity in life to change someone's life sometimes. And it may not be the best situation for you, but it may not be the best situation for them. But if you come together, sometimes you can accomplish something great. And it was a really just, it kind of piqued my interest from the beginning to end, is what I would say. It's just touching. It's heartfelt. It's definitely more along the lines of a film than it is a movie, because it's not super exciting. It's like a slow speed Indiana Jones, because there's an archaeology aspect to this movie, and you find out a little bit of background about what's going on, what's underneath the ground, and how it all comes to be, and who wants it, and what it is, and why everybody wants a piece of it and wants a piece of this kind of legacy as well. So, it's an interesting movie, is what I would say. It was very well acted. It has a little bit of everything, but it's definitely, definitely more along the lines of being intimate, like kind of date night, kind of romantic, but kind of, I don't know. It's hard to explain.
I wouldn't call it romantic.
Yeah, not really romantic. I'll take that back. But it was very family oriented.
Yeah, the family could watch this. Here's what I will tell you really worked with the film. Okay, the music, the score was phenomenal.
Phenomenal?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say phenomenal. Okay.
What do you call the word? It met the movie.
It did, but it was a little more than it wasn't phenomenal, but it wasn't just a basic score. Okay.
It matched the movie.
It matched the movie perfectly. And it was on the verge of being a big score, but it wasn't quite there.
Right.
The cinematography was really good, and I got to tell you, the costumes and the set pieces, this was a true period piece. They did a phenomenal job putting you in that time period. Everything from the planes, for the war, just the look and the way everyone behaved, you felt like you were there, and it was really well done. I wasn't super stuck to the screen when I was watching it. Like, I had to watch it in chunks. The biggest mistake I made was not watching it on the big screen that I have. I have a 146-inch screen that I use, and this was a movie that should have been watched on that screen. It is a big screen type of film. Mm-hmm. I like the feeling I got. That the acting was phenomenal. There's nothing not to like in the movie.
No.
And it comes together really well at the end of the film. So it's a solid film from beginning to end. Is it exciting? No, it's not exciting. Are you going to walk away rethinking your life? No, you're not going to walk away rethinking your life. There's no major human lessons in here. But to that point, each one of the characters had their own journey that they had to go on, and they needed to figure out who they were. And that's what this movie was about. That's ultimately what the underlying story was. And this was a true story. Now, I didn't do any research to find out how much of it was true and how much was made for the film, but it made for a compelling story that is going to keep you interested the whole time. But I would try to watch it in the most quiet place you can, where you can pay attention and not be distracted by other things, because it will bring you in and draw you into the moment. How would you rate this movie?
Well, I've kind of based it off of this idea, and that's that every character was rich in this movie. Every character was three-dimensional, had motivations, had shortcomings, had opportunities, and grew. So for me, as a movie, I was only able to give it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't super exciting. It wasn't Indiana Jones, even though it had an archaeology aspect to it. It just didn't move that fast. But as a film, I felt like it really shined. I was able to go as high as a 8 for a film. It was very touching. It had lots of moving moments and a lot of characters that were conflicted about their lives and their future, and it kind of showed how women were treated in that time. Even educated women were kind of, not necessarily treated well, and were kind of pushed off to the side during that time. And that was obviously the culture during that time. But you get to see it from a woman's perspective a little bit more than I have in past films. What about you? What'd you think?
I found the movie to be somewhat wonderful. I gave it the exact same score you did on both sides. I gave it a 7 as a movie and 8 as a film. It had some touching moments in it and some compelling moments with the son, the mom, the son, and the archaeologist. And there were some good interactions in there that were really heartfelt. So it's a movie that I wouldn't choose to put in anytime soon, but I could see revisiting it in 3 or 4 years and definitely giving it another watch. But it's not exciting.
No, it's not exciting, but it doesn't mean that it's not good, which it was.
No. Yeah. But again, I do encourage people, watch it on the biggest screen you can, in the most intimate way you can, maybe with the lights out at night when you're not going to be distracted by life, basically. It is meant to be a felt film.
And the subtitles on.
Well, I didn't have that issue, but I mean, if you're watching it off of a TV with no soundbar, a soundbar would probably be your best bet. We appreciate everybody who's here with us on this ride. You can find us on podcasts on all kinds of different services. So you pick your service, we're probably on there. And we do appreciate everyone coming out. So that's all we have for you this week. I'm Aaron Fisher.
I'm Lamont Lovejoy.
We'll see you guys next time.